You know, some stories start with a bang. Mine started with a gut punch. Picture this. I pull into my uncle's driveway thinking it's just another step in this long, bittersweet journey. And bam, there's a giant red sold sign smack where his rose bushes used to be. Strangers, actual strangers, are carrying out furniture. Kids are tearing across the yard like they own the place, and there's a moving truck blocking the mailbox. I slam my car door so hard the handle almost snaps, and before I know it, I'm shouting, "Yeah, not exactly my proudest moment. But what would you do? What are you doing in my house?" Guy with a clipboard looks at me like I'm the one trespassing. "Your house. We bought it 3 weeks ago." "Bought it, no?" "No way. I never listed it, never signed anything, never even thought about selling." Then she appears. Addison Young, HOA President Queen of Pastels smirk, glued on like she's auditioning for a role nobody asked for. She claims she had authority to sell abandoned homes under the HOA's law. But here's the kicker. My uncle's house was built in 1965, decades before that HOA even existed. She had no clue who she was messing with, not yet. I can still smell my uncle's house if I close my eyes. Pine wood floors, old books that hint of pipe tobacco he quit years ago, but the scent never really left. Uncle Ray, well, he was more than my uncle. When I lost my parents in a car wreck at 12, he took me in no questions, raised me in that house. This place has bones, Will. Real bones. He'd say it with this half grin, as if he was letting me in on a secret and warning me at the same time. I didn't get it then. Standing there, watching strangers trample through memories, I understood all too well. The property, 3 acres gentle slope, big oaks at the edge, was a craftsman masterpiece. Big wraparound porch, hand-carved beams, copper gutters, polished twice a year. Paid off every inch and soaked with decades of laughter and heartache. When Uncle Ray passed at 82, it was peaceful. He left me everything house savings, his old tools. His will was so tidy, the probate attorney said it was the cleanest he'd seen all year. 4 months of paperwork and calls, then the deed was mine. My name on the paper. I still remember that weight in my hands, sadness and pride all mixed up. My wife Sarah squeezed my hand and said he'd be proud of you. The kids. Ethan and Lily were already arguing about bedrooms. We'd been stuck in a shoebox apartment for years. Suddenly, we could almost taste freedom space, fresh air. It felt like maybe life was about to turn a corner. But Uncle Ray, he was cautious to a fault. Weeks before he passed, we sat on the porch, and he leaned in, voice low. "If you ever move in here, keep your guard up. There's a woman down the road, runs the homeowners association, always trying to rope me in. Says my land belongs under her rules. Don't buy it." I laughed it off, thought it was just him grumbling about busybodies. "You don't even live in their subdivision, Uncle Ray." He chuckled. "That's what I said. But they pretend otherwise. Watch out for her." She smiles while she sharpens the knife. Didn't realize he meant Addison. Once probate was done, I checked every file, every scrap. The deed dated July 65, spelled it out, property predated Maple Ridge by 30 years outside the HOA, explicitly exempt. Uncle Ray even filed something in 88, restating it when the HOA tried to annex nearby land. In other words, untouchable. A few weeks before moving in, I did a walk through lawn, needed mowing, porch light, needed a bulb, but everything else was perfect. As I stood by the mailbox, a silver SUV slowed. Woman steps out, blonde, mid-50s, pink blazer, pearl necklace, smile like she's selling something. "You must be the new owner," she said, striding over, hand out. "Addison Young, Maple Ridge, HO, a president." Her handshake was a power move, but her eyes sharp as broken glass. "Just so we're clear, my property isn't part of the HOA," I said. She nodded that cat with a mouse look. "Oh, that's what your uncle said. We've had discussions for years about voluntary integration. Voluntary, huh? Yes, but we do have certain expectations for properties in the visual range of Maple Ridge. She gestured at the street, all beige boxes, perfect lawns. My uncle's house stuck out like a relic, and she clearly hated it. Well, I said, forcing a polite smile, this place stays the way it is. She scribbled something in her notebook, smiled that cold smile. Of course. Just let us know your move-in timeline. We like to keep records up to date. That word record sat weird with me, but I brushed it off. The month before the move, Sarah and I packed, called the utility folks, planned a small cookout for Uncle Ray's friends. I checked the deed with the county one last time. Solid no, liens taxes paid no issues. The night before moving day, I drove by. Porch light off wind in the trees. Peace. Thought we were finally coming home. I had no idea what was waiting. The morning we moved, chaos hit instantly. Strange cars everywhere. People lugging boxes into the house. My first thought, maybe it's a neighbor's event. But my gut twisted. I grabbed the folder, deed probate every document I had, and marched straight toward the mess. There she was again. Addison. But this time, not smiling clipboard standing in my doorway, acting like she owned it. That was the moment I realized my quiet teacher's life had just collided with the most dangerous enemy, someone convinced rules don't apply to them. Our morning started with hope. Kids arguing about the Xbox. Sarah handing me sandwiches. Lily vlogging with sparkly filters on cardboard boxes. I turned onto Maple Ridge Drive, hit the familiar dip by the creek, and then my uncle's porch in sight, but there's a moving truck, not ours, parked all wrong. Garage door wide open. Strangers everywhere. A white SUV idling at the curb, kids trampling the irises, and a huge sold sign on the lawn. Closed in 14 days. My brain snapped. No, I said. Sarah's eyes went wide. Will? What is this? I bailed out, shouting, Hey, stop! What are you doing in my house? Clipboard guy turned. Sir, can I help you? Yeah. What's going on? This is my property. He shrugged. We're moving in. Closed 3 weeks ago. The words hit me like bricks. A woman. Rebecca came out, arms wrapped around a box. Is everything okay? She asked. We're the new owners. My heart sank. I yanked my folder out, showed the deed. No, you're not. I am. John. Her husband showed me a photocopy of a contract, my name at the bottom. Only it wasn't my signature, not really. It looked like mine, but whoever forged it knew every quirk of my handwriting. This is fake? I said, panic breaking through. This is not my signature. This sale is illegal. Rebecca shook. We paid. We did everything right. Sarah's hand found my arm. Ethan hovered, unsure whether to get mad or hide. Lily's phone was down. She was staring at the sold sign, maybe waiting for it to bite. We're calling the police, I said. John raised his hands. We already spoke to them. They said I don't care. Someone committed fraud and stole my house. The dispatcher's voice on the phone was calm. Too calm. Officers are en route. Please remain on the property and avoid confrontation. Q. Addison's arrival. Silver SUV gliding up blue blazer. Pearl studs, smile sharp as glass. Good morning. I see the Morrisons are getting settled. How exciting. I clenched my jaw. Get off my property. She didn't even flinch. William Wright? We met last month. I'm Addison, president of the HOA. My property isn't part of your HOA, I said, stepping closer. She just kept watching the movers. Abandoned properties fall under the HOA's responsibility. Your uncle owed years of unpaid dues. We followed due process. I laughed, couldn't help it. What dues? This house predates your subdivision. No covenant, no annexation. She pulled out a document. You'll find your uncle voluntarily integrated in 2010. The paper looked official, but it was as fake as the rest. Fees have gone unpaid for years, so the board voted to foreclose and sell to recoup losses. I stared her down. Foreclose. On a property that never belonged to your association, using a dead man's signature, and now mine. Her eyes narrowed. Be careful with your words. I choose them for a living. I'm a teacher. Today's lesson is fraud. 2 patrol cars rolled up, lights flashing. The officers got out, one older one, young, both with the tired look of guys who have seen too many family fights. I rushed through my story, shoved my papers at them, deed probate tax statements. Uncle Ray's old rejection letter from the HOA, everything. Addison's voice oozed honey. Officer, we followed procedure. Notices, hearings, no response. Property was in disrepair, a blight. I just laughed, cracked right there. It's a 1965 Craftsman, perfectly kept. And even if it wasn't, you have no authority. John stepped in. We paid the purchase price. Have title insurance, a recorded deed. The young cop looked between us, lowered his voice. This looks like a civil dispute. We can't evict anyone. You'll have to get an injunction. What about the forged signature? I asked. That's a crime. He nodded. Then file a report. But we can't decide ownership. Addison, thinking she's just won the Super Bowl, slips her document away. We all want what's best for Maple Ridge. My recommendation, consult counsel. I looked around my childhood, my memories, my uncle's whole life reduced to paperwork and smug grins. You picked the wrong house, I said quietly, and the wrong family. She just smiled, thinner this time. Everything in this subdivision belongs to the HOA. Not this, I said. Not ever. Sarah pulled me back toward the truck. We need to regroup. We checked into a low-budget motel off the highway. I stood at the sink staring at my reflection, older, tired, and finally fully awake. That night, I spread out every document I owned. Uncle Ray's voice echoed, "Watch out for her." She smiles while sharpening the knife. My hands stopped shaking. I called Jennifer Miles, the best real estate attorney in the county. Jennifer, my house was stolen. I need an emergency injunction. She didn't even ask if I was sure. Tell me everything, she said. So I did. By sunrise, she had an appointment set. The next morning, we started fighting back. Jennifer worked fast, filed an injunction to freeze any title transfer, contacted the recorder's office, and filed a criminal complaint. You handle the paper trail. I'll handle the rest, she said. I told her about Addison, her claims, her foreclosure. Jennifer's pen paused. She foreclosed on a property not even in her association. Then it's worse than I thought. Their manufacturing authority. We combed through files for hours, deeds, rejection letters, probate. Jennifer found that Addison had filed multiple liens for fake unpaid HOA fees. All notarized by her brother-in-law, Mark. Classic conflict of interest. He's the notary, she's the president. Fake meetings, fake debts, fake sales. Now Jennifer said we dig until she's choking on her own paperwork. Back at the motel, Sarah handed me her phone. A Facebook post. Addison's face beaming under, committed to community standards. Top post. Another neglected property restored to Maple Ridge pride. The comment section war zone. Only one voice of dissent. Didn't that belong to Mr. Brown's uncle deleted? That afternoon, Jennifer called. We got the injunction. Title's frozen. No one touches that property until this is settled. I almost smiled. Brace yourself, she said. They fight dirty. She wasn't wrong. The next day I got an email. Unpaid fees amount due, $39,450. Failure to remit will result in legal escalation under HOA Code 7.3b. Jennifer snorted when she saw it. She's panicking. None of that's real. We dug deeper. Addison's HOA wasn't even a legal nonprofit. Her bylaws self-written, never filed. She ran the whole thing out of her living room. We met with neighbors. Marilyn, 20 years in the subdivision, said Addison fined her husband for verbal hostility. Gary, another neighbor, said Addison claimed to be annexing nearby homes by sending threatening letters. Jennifer took notes. We'll need statements from everyone she's intimidated. Marilyn's hand trembled when she passed me her receipt. If you're really going after her, don't stop halfway. She ruins people. A week later, we found Addison's weak point. Jennifer subpoenaed the Morrison sale records. Addison had set up a shell company, AY Property Consulting, to wire sale proceeds straight into her personal account. The rest went to her husband, Robert, the real estate agent. Family business of fraud. She'd done it before to an elderly widow and a deployed Marine. Both lost their homes, both silenced. We met with the real Maple Ridge HOA board, the legitimate one. They looked horrified. We never authorized any of this. Addison's running a breakaway group impersonating our board. That was it. Addison wasn't even a real HOA president. She was a one-woman fraud ring. Jennifer tapped her pen. We have her, but I want her in handcuffs, not just in court. I drove back to the property. Addison was out walking her dog. Well, still loitering, she said, all smug. How's your brother-in-law, Mark? For a split second, her face cracked. Excuse me? He's talking. The notary who falsified your documents. I saw it then. The fear. You're delusional. I stepped closer, low. You forged a sale, pocketed the money, pretended to be a real HOA. You didn't just steal property, Addison. You stole peace of mind. But that ends now. The following week, chaos. News trucks everywhere. Addison stormed into an emergency HOA meeting, declaring, everything I did was legal and approved by the board. Let's see the board vote, I said. Silence. Jennifer handed a folder to the investigator. Your minutes show signatures from people who moved away 5 years ago. Addison's face drained. The investigator stepped up. Mrs. Young, time to come with us. For the first time, Addison's voice cracked. You can't do this. I am the HOA. No, I said. You're just another thief in heels. She was arrested, but that was just round one. Lawsuits, countersuits, the whole 9 yards. The FBI got involved, found she'd bribed a county clerk, laundered over $1 million, targeted the most vulnerable. Her empire fell apart. The judge denied bail. In court, victims testified, widows, veterans, families. Addison lost her composure, screamed in court, called everyone liars. The jury found her guilty on all counts. Addison was sentenced to 18 years, $1.2 million in restitution. Everything forfeited. But the win was messy. The Morrisons who'd bought my house in good faith were stuck. Legally, it was still theirs through a voided deed, but it was mine morally. Jennifer said, buy it back at full value. That way they recover and you get your home back the right way. So I did. Wrote the check, handed it to Rebecca, and we both cried. Because the house was never about money. Restitution funds went to the victims. The real HOA was reformed, laws changed. Addison faded away, working laundry duty in a Texas prison, her empire erased. I found peace, not in revenge, but in restoration. We moved back and repainted, rebuilt, replanted the irises Lily loved. Life moved forward. The neighborhood healed, the law got better, people grew braver. And in the attic, I found a letter from Uncle Ray Keep Records. Never let anyone tell you what belongs to you. If she ever comes after this land, don't fight angry, fight smart. That's what I did. Not with rage, but with evidence, with patience, with decency. And that's how we won, not just against Addison, but against everything she stood for. So let me ask you, have you ever dealt with an HOA that went too far? Where do you draw the line between rules and abuse, between order and control? Drop your story, take your battle scars below. Who knows? Maybe together we can make sure people like Addison never win again.